What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to the workshop. Now in this video we're going to build a mobile lumber storage rack, somewhere to keep all our offcuts on one side and some of our sheet material on the other side. We're going to keep it on casters so it's nice and mobile and we can move it around the shop as we need it and put it out of the way when we don't need it. And it's going to be really easy to build, so very few tools to build this. It's going to be nice, simple construction. It's just going to be glue and screw. It's going to be very like the miter saw station I built, so we're going to use some of the same techniques we used to build this in this build and keep it nice and simple. So let's jump into it. Okay, I have you set up in the far corner of the shop so we can get all this in shot. I have been dimensioning up some of the timber already, so I have some of the plywood dimensioned up and some of the 4x2s cut the length. So we're going to be building this again from WBP ply and some 4x2s. Use up some of the materials I have left over from the miter saw station. It's going to be the same technique that we used to put this together. So if you want to go back and watch how we built this miter saw station, I'll link that up here. Yeah, so we're just going to jump into it. My base is going to be 2 meters by 600, so 2000 by 600, and that's 2 foot by roughly 79 inches. So if you're working on imperial, and that's where we're going to keep the base. So I'm going to make a frame the same way as I made a frame for this guy. We're going to sit the base on that frame, put the casters on that base then. So it's going to be really simple. So let's rock on and start putting this thing together. Okay, first thing we're going to do is screw our legs together. We're going to make the L-shaped legs, the very same as we made this miter saw station. I'm going to fly through all this bit now because it already exists in this video build and I don't want to bore most of you guys if you've seen this already. So it's a case of just screw these together in L shape. I need to make 4 of them, so I'll rock on and do this. I like to use these riser cutter screws. These are 5 by 80 mils. I also have 5 by 100 mils there. Now, I'm not sponsored or affiliated to anybody. I just find these to be very, very good. There's no need to pre-drill with these screws. They just fly straight in. They don't crack the timber and they get a great grip. Now, if you want to make it a little bit extra stronger, feel free to use wood glue too if you want. I don't think it's necessary making the frame. We will use it for the plywood. But for now, I'm just going to screw all these together. So just like that, that's how we're going to make it. Again, very same as the miter saw station. So I'll crack on and get all these done now and we'll jump back in when they're finished. Okay, so just like the base of the miter saw, it's going to be the exact same thing. We're going to make a frame and keep it internal inside in our L-shaped legs. Now keep everything nice and square and keep the internal frame the same dimensions as your base board, so that will fit inside in your legs. Just when you're orientating your legs then, if you notice you have a long side and a short side, make sure you keep your long side so it catches the 2 boards and not the 1 board. I made that mistake in my last build on one of the legs. I'm just giving you guys the heads up so you don't do it. It's easy to happen just when you're screwing things together quickly. It just helps add a little strength. If you mix it up, it's not detrimental, but it adds a little bit of strength. So I'm going to screw all this frame together just like I did with the miter saw station, then we can get the floor on it. Now I originally cut the floor to 1.6 meters or just over 5 foot. And then I said it looks a little bit on the short side, so I cut another little board that I'll add onto it. So I'm going to keep one of the stretchers and one of the cross pieces underneath the joint for this guy. So nice and simple, screw it all together and put the floor on. Let's do it. Okay, our frame is all screwed together and our side legs are on. These are not really legs this time, they're more supports for the side, but it's a good system of putting things together. So let's drop our floor now onto our base. And if my measurements are correct, this should fit nicely. Just like that. Happy days. Okay, our floor is down and up until this point, it is almost identical to building the miter saw station. So I'm going to countersink some screws around this plywood sheet now, get it all screwed down, and that's going to add to the strength of this frame. I just used the masking tape trick again, like I showed in the last video. So if you're cutting plywood and you're getting a lot of splintering, Draw your line, masking tape over it. You can see the line through the masking tape, or even draw the line on the masking tape and cut along the masking tape. That'll give you nice, clean cuts and stop your plywood from splintering, especially if you're not using an extremely high grade ply. Like this is WBP ply, which is a good quality plywood. It's not a top quality plywood. It wouldn't be as good as birch ply, but it's pretty good. So, but it does splinter when you're using a circular saw or a jigsaw or anything like that. So the masking tape trick is a good way to go. So I'll get this masking tape off now, and we should get this thing screwed down. Okay, the floor is all in place, everything's screwed down, so our frame is now good, strong and rigid. Now I'm just going to put it in a cross piece. This is going to hold my upright piece of plywood. It'll all make sense now in a minute. Some people would build it, they would route in a dado here and sit their upright piece into the dado. I'm going to use this because it's nice, simple, quick, efficient, good and strong. And all we've been doing so far is using a skill saw and a drill and an impact driver. So we're going to keep it nice and simple to those tools. So this is a good way of doing it. It's going to be nice and strong and give it some support at its base, and then we can support it from its sides and from the top. You'll see it all now in a second when I get this screwed up. So I'm just going to screw this down now. It's right. I'm going to keep my plywood sheet right along the center line. So this guy is to this side of the center line, if that makes sense. This board is actually 700 millimeters wide. I think I said 600 at the start of the video. So yeah, it's actually 700 millimeters. So to this line here, or to the edge of this 4x2 is now 35 or 350 mil or 35 centimeters. So screw this guy down, nice and simple, and we'll put on our upright. You'll see that now in a second. Okay, we've flipped it over before it gets too much heavier. Flip it over now and get your casters on, otherwise it's going to be a struggle, especially if you're on your own. So the way we've done our legs now and made our frame, it means we have plenty of support there to mount our casters to, which is handy. So it's nice and simple. We're going to drive some screws down through it, 4 big screws down through it, using washers to hold these casters on. Now if you can get 2 casters with brakes on them, do that. Where I went this morning to pick up the gear, they didn't have any braked ones, so I don't have them. So it's not really a big deal, but if you can get braked ones, it's always handy to be able to hit the brakes on something, especially when it's carrying a bit of weight. So I'm going to screw these down now and we'll get some washers on them. Not much to this. Okay, there we go. Our casters are on and our base is looking good. So we've made a giant skateboard now, if nothing else. So this is a good point just to stand on it, test it out, make sure you haven't made a tripod, or worse again, a bipod. Sometimes construction timber can be twisted and not very straight and you can end up with a crooked frame. If that happens, it might be on 2 wheels or it could be on 3 wheels. So you just need to put some shims into your casters if that happens to you. But this is perfectly on all 4 wheels as we built it straight onto the floor, and I know the floor is good and flat. So the next thing we need to do is get our upright piece in, so let's do it. Okay, here's our center section, and I kept this the full width of a sheet of plywood, so 1200 or 4 foot. I'm just going to screw this in, and it's the full length of this, so that's 2 meters or 79 inches, I do believe. So that's going to fix to this guy now, and we'll be supporting it again from this side. This is where, if you have someone to help you, it's a good idea to get somebody to help you. I don't, so I'm going to struggle with this on my own. And the fact that I don't have braked wheels on this now, I just have pushed it against my bench and I have a plank behind it just to try and stop it moving that little bit, because it could get giddy and get away from us. So let's try and manhandle this in place. There we go, just like that. there we go. Now that's not very well supported, so the next thing I want to do is get our front panel on and our side pieces in without moving this too much. Okay, there's our front panel in and our two side bits. Now this all has to be screwed together. So you can see how handy it is to build your frame like this, because your plywood now can sit internally inside in your frame, and you can build your bins in here, and you have corner protectors now from the 4x2s or 2x4s, which is nice. So, bunch of screws on the back of this to screw into this, and then screws in around the front. So I get all this done. I'm going to get a bit of glue on this now, so I'll just give it an extra little bit of strength, and then we'll pull all this together with screws. So let's get on it. Okay, this is where we're at so far. We have our front bin in place now. We need to put a load of dividers in here. We can divide this up as many times as we see fit to make as many bins as we want for storing different types of timber. And at our back then here, I'm going to put in like a toe board here, a kickboard here, that will keep all the plywood in as you lean it against this. Now I might even brace this at an angle, but drop some angle pieces off this, just so you can lean your boards against it, and we can build shelves in here if we so choose. So there we go, that's it so far. We're almost there, everything is nice and rigid and together. So do the bins next. Right, there we go. That is our bins all sorted out. So I have 5 segments. So we've got 5 bins and a large bin at the end. So 5 even spaces and 1 large space at the end. And these pieces are 500 millimeters high. That's because that's the piece of the board that I had left. It was 500 millimeters in width, and I was able to cut 5 segments out of that length that I had left. So that worked out pretty well. And then we just knocked off the corners. We just measured back in 20 millimeters and measured from a corner here, and just cut 20 centimeters, 200 mil, and just knocked off that corner. So there's no hard edges here or no corners sticking up that you can bang your leg off, cut yourself on or whatever. So there you go, nice and simple. They're screwed and glued. So we screwed them from the front, we screwed them from the back. So that's it, that's all them in place. Now we turn our attention to the back piece, and this is going to be where we're going to store our panels. So let's have a look at this. Okay, onto our back section, and this is where we're going to store our sheets of plywood. So I have an offcut of plywood that was left over, so that's in place now for our kind of like a toe board. So that's going to stop any sheets sliding out this way. So that's handy again with this frame. If you make it like this, you can keep everything internal within that frame, and you can slide your boards straight in here and just leave them rest then against this. You could just leave them rest against this. They can't slide out now, but I'm going to use up this piece of 4x2 that I have left, and we're going to put in just 2 brace pieces down. Now you could put 4 maybe here would be better, and then you can shelve it in here, or you could make this whole thing wider and build in shelves here, so you have like a triangular shape. Your narrower shelf at the top, larger shelves as you go down, and you can store long inches of timber this way. I'm not going to bother with that because this is more than big enough for everything that I have in my shop. So all I need to do is put some sheets on this side, and I can leave the long lengths then on the bottom if I have any, and the rest of the stuff will more than fit in there. So I want to cut this now and get 2 of these in place. So let's get the angles right on this. Okay, so the first angle I want to cut is for this foot of this piece here. So that's going to sit flat on top of this floor. I'm going to leave this much distance here. That's plenty for the amount of sheets I'd have in my shop. And I can also slide some sheets behind these if I need to. So I'm just going to take like a parallel edge, a ruler or anything like that would work fine, but we have our sliding bevel here, so we'll use that. Again, I don't even need to use this part of it, but I can keep it up flat against the back. What I want is just 2 parallel edges. So I can sit this on my floor, hopefully you can see that there, and then I can just draw a straight line across here. And that'll give me the same angle that my foot needs to be to my floor. So nice and simple like that. Now you will lose that much material, the width of the sliding bevel here, or you can use a thinner ruler if you have, a skinnier ruler if you don't want to lose that much material, if you don't have much material to play with. It's just a nice quick way of getting the angle without any calculations. 2 parallel edges, just like that. So we'll chop this now and then we can get the angle for the top piece. So there we are on the miter saw. I can just match the laser of my miter saw then to that angle, which is exactly right there. And if you do happen to have a sliding bevel, if you're not using just 2 parallel edges of your ruler and stuff, you can always just set that angle on your sliding bevel just like that, and you can move that mark right down if you don't want to waste any material. So it's a nice quick way of getting your angle. If you don't have your sliding bevel with you, you can just use a ruler or anything with 2 parallel edges will get you the angle that you're looking for. So I can save a bit of material now by moving that line down. So let's cut it. Now when it comes to the top of our 4x2, I'm not going to bother trying to match this angle here. There's no point. It's a piece of shop furniture or a shop utensil at the end of the day, and we don't need to get too fancy. So all I'm going to do is just square this across and keep it exactly in line with the top of our plywood, and we can drive 2 screws through here and 2 screws into the feet or into the foot, and that'll be more than enough. We're only laying boards against this after all. Just take our square and just square it across here. That'll give you your height. And this angle here that I'm drawing on now will be the exact same angle as my foot that I just cut, so I don't even have to move the miter saw. Okay, there we go. There's our 2 boards cut. That took all of 20 seconds. Match that angle. When you square it on the top, it's the same angle, so you don't have to change the miter saw like I'm saying. Chop this one, then mark the other one with it and chop that one. Now 2 screws in here, and 2 screws in the feet. And I might add another 1 or 2 of these later on, but I'm out of 2x4 now, so we'll see how these go. So I really don't think I need it because I have the support of the toe board here, and I don't want to put anything too close to the edge because I want to be able to slide in my boards this way. So let's get these on. Battery. Okay guys, there we go. That is the build just complete there now. So everything is together, nice and strong, good and stable. It's a good sturdy, strong base, and we can wheel it around. And the nice thing is I can wheel it to my roller door and slide all my materials out of the van, which is nice. So that'll help me carry some plywood around the shop. Now, let's load this thing up and put some material in it. Okay, there we go. One mobile timber or lumber storage cart or rack, whatever way you want to say it. So I have my pine here walnut here, maple here, sapele here, some ash here, and then some offcuts of various different things, OSB and plywood in the end. I might add some smaller bins up on top to take all those small little blocks that I'm kind of keeping. I'm a bit of a hoarder when it comes to timber, so I have all them small blocks that might only be firewood, I don't know, but we'll leave them in there for now. I'll use it for a while, and if I feel like I can get away with putting some smaller bins up on top to keep all those things in, I will. But for now, I'll keep the height available, and we'll see what way I'm going to use this. And we can store all our plywood sheets on the back, which is nice and handy. And the whole idea is that it sits here right in front of my roller door. So roller door is a kind of a huge waste of space in a workshop. It's vitally important for getting stuff in and out. I can reverse my van in here if I need to work on it. But when it comes to leaving stuff around your walls, obviously that's a big void there. So something on wheels in front of the roller door is ideal. And so when I want to take anything out of the van, just in case I move this out of the way, I can slide my plywood sheets straight through from the van, through the roller door, onto this now, and then I can move them around to where I need them, and just nice and handy. So there you go. So there we go, guys, another piece of workshop storage complete. We're really getting things organized around here now. So this is nice and handy, it's nice and mobile. It's going to sit in front of my roller door, like I say. So that's kind of a wasted space in the shop. But it's on wheels, so we can wheel it out of the way if we need to get access to our door, which is ideal. And it takes all that stuff out from underneath my workbench now, so I can put all my jigs and stuff back under my workbench where they belong, and all my offcuts in there. And if I need to add some smaller bins at the top to take up those small cuts, I'll do that. But I'll use it for a month or two now, see how it's working out, and if I feel like I need to add them, I'll add them. So hopefully you've got something out of that, guys. Again, this 2x4 construction is great if you want to build an outfeed table for your table saw, if you want to build a nice flat assembly table, if you want to build a miter saw station. Using this technique that I used to build a miter saw station, and now this cart, is great because it's really, really strong, and it keeps everything internal within your frames. So these act like bumpers to protect your plywood, because you can't splinter and break the edge of your plywood. So keeping the 2x4s on the outside really helps. So, and it's a quick and easy way and strong way to construct stuff. So there we go. Hopefully you've enjoyed that. If you have, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. That really helps me out a lot. That helps the YouTube algorithm know that people actually liked the video and got something from it. So it shares it more, helps my channel grow. So it's only a case of click that thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed here, think about subscribing, because there'll be more stuff like this: woodworking projects, electrical stuff, tool reviews, all that good fun stuff. So there we go. It is now, once again, time for a beer. So I'm going to get out of here. Take it easy.